What's up everybody, Arrg the Pirate here, and today I'm going to be playing a little Feng Mao in the jungle. As always, let's go over the deck. Now I have Jungle Assassin, Ruthless, Lifesteal, Jungle Lifesteal, Mana Reactor, and Shredding Strikes for my gems. Now for my cards, I have Cull the Weak, Exoskeleton, the Mother Tree, Green Spring, Growth Totem, Veil Stepper, Thunder Cleaver, Wound Seeker, Numbing Rogue, Trapper, Unbroken Spirit, and lastly Vampiric Blade. Now the DC and Connection Crisis is still going strong within Paragon right now, and luckily we do play a match against a team that stays in the game, and they're actually working very well together, so this was a really enjoyable match. You know, we got paired up against a team that, whether the skill level or not, at least they're communicating and working very well together, and it's really fun having an actual challenge. Now, I am in comms with my support Narbash, and, you know, we try to make a few plays happen, and things like that. You know, it's more difficult being in comms with your support than being in comms with, say, your mid lane, off lane, or your ADC, but we make some pretty good plays, and this turned out to be a really fun match, guys. And I gotta say, I'm just not having a whole lot of fun with Paragon in the current state that it's in. I'm really looking forward to version 44.3. If you don't know, that is a huge balancing patch that's coming out, and I'm just so ready for that, guys. I think Paragon needs a lot of balancing, and not so much just with the heroes. I think there are some other issues that need some adjustment. Now, I have spent a little bit more time in the jungle. I'm still not super comfortable in the new jungle, but I have spent a little more time, and what I have been doing is picking up my green and using that to secure my black buff. But you can see the enemy Rampage comes over and, you know, he's kind of just hanging out with the black buff. And we do get some team rotation. You can see our Steel heads over, or the enemy Steel heads over. Bellica heads over. Now, Rampage is able to secure that black buff, which is unfortunate. But we are going to go ahead and force him out of lane, and you know, he's not going to be able to take near the advantage that he would have liked with that. Now, I have tried using that black buff rotation where I take green and then go for the enemy black buff, and I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of that. Now, I think it would be a great strategy if you're in comms with everybody on your team, and you can kind of, you know, have some help if you need, like, for example, what just happened. You know, he needed some help, because that is the typical path the jungler runs to deal with the off lane if he is going to gank. So if you are in comms and you're able to go, hey guys, come help me, that makes a huge difference. And we would have taken him out very easily if that Steel wouldn't have rotated. So, you know, it is what it is. I really enjoy the new black buff, but I don't utilize it very much. Let me know how y'all are using it. I just really haven't spent enough time in the jungle, and I don't know if black buff is really as game-changing as setting up and getting ready to take Feng. So yeah, if y'all are big junglers, please let me know how y'all are utilizing black buff, and if you're leaving it for the off lane, or if the jungler's actually taking it. Now, I also don't use Tyrant. I'm not a big fan of the card because I like spending a lot of time in lane whenever I jungle, and Tyrant really kind of limits you to the jungle. For one thing, it is a 6-point card, but it's a very underwhelming 6-point card if you don't take advantage of the, you know, full benefit of it. So at 6 points, you know, you're about 6 minutes into the game, and from there, if you aren't clearing jungles, you know, you can get 21 camps or 21 farm straight away within your jungle. You know, if you do jungle invades on the minions, you know, or jungle invades just to get Tyrant up, you know, that's kind of putting yourself in a very dangerous situation for just trying to get Tyrant. But you could possibly get Tyrant online at about, you know, 10 minutes, which at 6 point, or, you know, being a 6-point card at 10 minutes, you know, it's a very decent card. That is a very strong card. but like I said, it does really limit you to the jungle, and that's just not really my playstyle. So I choose to go a different route, and I actually wanted to just try a deck that I've never really played before. I'm not running Possessed Sprykin, but I am Death, so I am making some changes. But I really wanted to try out Veil Stepper. I haven't used the card for a very long time now. I did play it on Seraph not that long ago, but, I didn't keep it on for very long. I actually keep that on pretty much the whole match. I actually think I do keep it on the whole match. And I go Numbing Rogue as well, so I definitely build Feng more tanky than I normally do. I usually play him pretty offensively, but I wanted to try out this, tankier side of build, and, Numbing Rogue is just such a good card. Even though it got a huge nerf, I still think it's an absolute amazing card. As well as, I was going to put on Trapper. I was thinking with Feng's natural slow and Trapper added to it, that would just be a nightmare to deal with. So I wanted to try that out. Unfortunately, we didn't get to that point, but I have played a match since, and it feels very good. I like Trapper on Feng. I've always liked it on Feng, but with this new passive, it feels great. So Trapper's definitely an option for y'all. Now, so far, I have not had really any successful ganks. I've helped the off lane, helped the mid lane a little bit, but we finally get a decent gank here in this safe lane side. We're able to take out this Aurora, and, hey, that's great. Gideon does manage to just barely slip out, but, hey, we're getting some good damage on him, and, he ends up actually staying in this safe lane. So I'm going to kind of fulfill the support role and help my Murdoch really push this safe lane, and hopefully we can get some good damage on it. This is also allowing Belica to rotate over since that mid laner is not there, and our Belica does a great job. If you actually watch my videos, Belica, I'd love to play with you some more, maybe even get in comms with you, so feel free to jump in Discord. Like I said, you did an amazing job, and I just thought I'd point that out. Now, we do end up getting a great execute onto that Gideon. I was able to dive him a little bit once we got our minions under tower. I am out of mana, and, I'm half health, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to back, and I'm actually able to upgrade my card and throw on Veil Stepper. Now, from here, I start getting into the rhythm of things. The match is kind of, turned into that more aggressive state. We're no longer in that real boring laning phase, so I am able to head over to this Gideon. I use my Veil Stepper to actually close that distance instead of actually going over and using my blink to get it, close that gap. And we're actually able to get some pretty good damage on him, and Belica's actually able to take him out. I miss my execute. It feels bad. I actually miss another one. I have cranked up my sensitivity just a little bit on my mouse, and it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. You can see I was really jerking with that, but hey, no problem. We secured that kill, and we actually fed our mid lane. And since I am building a much tankier build, I would rather our damage dealer get fed over me. After that Gideon kill, I head into the jungle, and I just clear out a couple of camps. I want to make sure that I keep my farm going. If you saw, I just cleaned out the little guys in that one camp because I wanted to make a quick rotation, and I head over to our off lane. Now, Kalari is getting out. She's pretty weak, and this Rampage was diving a little bit. He had green buff, so he wasn't too worried about it, but with me showing up, we're able to chunk him down fairly well, and, that forces him to get out. He does have his ultimate, and we need to be aware of that, but he doesn't really have any mana, so if he does have enough to use his ultimate, he can't throw a rock, so that's, of course, why he was backing out, and it allows us to really help push this lane a little bit, get it set up for when Kalari actually does head back. From here, I'm going to end up backing and actually throwing on Growth Totem. Now, I did get an 11-minute Growth Totem, which is a little bit slower than I would have liked, but that's quite alright. We do have a pretty big presence in mid, and I definitely want to be there, but we also have a good push going in our safe lane. So, I'm going to head over, make sure we can deal with that, and sure enough, we are able to. Now, I decide to actually head into this fight. I go ahead and pop my shield. I could have waited for that freeze to happen, but I was really trying to hopefully get in there and, you know, get that hit onto Aurora and keep Narbash alive. Unfortunately, I just wasn't able to, but no problem. You know, my shield pretty much ate all of that damage, so we're doing pretty well. And Gideon is, you know, he gets caught out a little bit. There's my other execute that I actually missed. Oh, that feels bad, man. But is what it is. We need to kind of get out of this fight. I don't like fighting around corners. You know, fighting around corners that way is, it's just bad because we're on their side of the map. You know, they know where we are. We don't really know where they are. So fighting like that is never a good idea, guys. Now, Bellica is back at base. You know, she needed a back, and that's quite alright. I'm going to stay here in mid and really kind of clean this lane up for her, get it pushing in the right direction, and this is going to allow her to have plenty of time to get back in lane. From here, I'm just going to head back into my jungle and, you know, kind of clean up a couple of camps, get my green buff, you know, that typical jungle stuff. Now, after I do get my green, I see Gideon, you know, he's a little far forward, and I'm thinking, hey, maybe we can actually go in, get some poke, you know, with green. But you see, they actually have wards. He knows I was there. Their team actually does a great job with wards. They have wards everywhere. And luckily, Narbash does have wards in his deck, so we're able to throw down some wards and actually counterplay some of these wards, and, you know, that's absolutely huge. And it makes a huge difference when you have vision and you're actually using that vision. Now, me dipping through that fog wall gave me some vision on that steal. You know, he was getting ready for a good gank, and we actually kind of ruined that plan by keeping that vision on him. But if you see, Wraith actually kind of ducked out, and Steel, you know, I don't know exactly where Steel is, but I'm going to go ahead and just go in on this Gideon. And you can see with the way Gideon backed off, you know, he wasn't really expecting anything. Rampage does show up, but, you know, hey, no problem. Now, there is a huge presence still in mid. You know, we've got their jungle, their support, you know, Steel support's always a hard issue, and then their Gideon as well. So I'm not really keen on getting too far out of tower. But I don't want to leave. You know, Bellica cannot handle all of this on her own. I definitely need to stick around and help out whenever I can. And sure enough, that's what we're going to do. We help push that lane a little bit, and then I'm going to go into my jungle, kind of clean up a camp, keep my farm going, but then I head back to mid lane. I'm keeping vision on mid lane because, you know, it's very important that, you know, we keep vision there. Now, Rampage does head in, and we're able to just absolutely delete him. You know, he's not very tanky, even though, you know, he probably should be. Now, I did have the option to use my execute on that steal there, but we were going to get that kill. You know, he was minion trapped. We were definitely going to get that kill. I'm not going to waste my ultimate securing a kill that we're going to secure, and that's exactly what I do. Now, Wraith did rewind me, and I'm able to kind of dip out. You know, I use the fog walls to my advantage. I use that shield to, you know, absorb that damage. Aurora's in my jungle, but hey, no problem. They are, you know, they're grinding their teeth trying to kill me, but I am pretty slippery with having Veil Stepper on, and I'm able to get out. Now, I do go ahead and swap out my Coal of the Week for Greenspring. You know, I definitely want that sustain, want that heal. You know, I get that good basic armor, even though this is not a very basic damage-heavy team, but that's quite alright. You know, a little bit's better than nothing. We are able to dash in and just take out that Wraith. You see, it was very quick. I still don't know how I feel about having that execute ability, or just the notification. The ability is one thing, but having that huge notification that you can do that. You know, I might not have ulted him there if I wouldn't have seen this, you know, big glowing skull. But is what it is. We got to kind of deal with what we have. Now, I do head back to mid. You know, Gideon's here. We're able to get some damage on him. And, you know, I might have been able to use my Veil Stepper and close that distance. I probably should have done that, but it's quite all right. We're able to keep a little bit more damage on him, kind of force him out of lane, which is exactly what we want to do. You know, he's half health, half mana. That's probably enough to, you know, scare him off. And sure enough, he does back. Now is a perfect time for us to go for Feng. We've got all of our lanes pushed, everything like that. You know, we should be able to wrap up this Feng fairly well. Now, there are 4 of us here in this pit, and Kalari, she's kind of staying out, not really coming in to help. So we're thinking, hey, she's going to zone for us, but she actually doesn't quite do that. And unfortunately, Rampage is able to head over, and he gets an amazing rock and is able to steal Feng. Now, that is kind of a pain for us, but what happens next is absolutely amazing. Now, we take out their Rampage, easy peasy. Steal is another, no contest at all. Gideon heads over, and we're able to take him out as well. And then Aurora shows up, and their team's coming in staggered this way. They do end up taking out a support, but so far we've got 3 kills for that Raptor. And we actually end up taking out this Aurora as well. So, they sacrificed, 4 deaths for a Raptor. Now, I would say if 1, maybe even 2 died, it might be worth it. 5,000 gold is a huge advantage, plus that 4 power. But losing your entire team for a Raptor is definitely not worth it. And, they just came in staggered. They should have definitely came in all at once or not at all. Just let Rampage go deal with it. But is what it is. It's a crazy advantage for us, and I'm really happy with it. Now, we are, pretty early in the game, only 19 minutes in, so the spawn timers are fairly short, and the enemy team does spawn in, but I go ahead and die for that tower. Luckily, Bellica was able to get out. She didn't sacrifice herself. Caster staying in on a tower like that is almost worthless, and she would have died for nothing. But I was able to stay in, only having 1 death for a T2, in my opinion, is definitely worth it. But again, if Bellica would have stayed in, she kind of would have thrown away a great advantage we would have had. Now, I do go ahead and secure my green buff, and then I head over to mid lane. Now, Bellica is absolutely able to erase Gideon, but Rampage is over, so we need to make sure we take him out. Sure enough, he doesn't stand a chance against that execute. And, I've only got 5 power on, guys, so that execute is still fairly strong. And from here, with me having green buff, I'm just going to go ahead and dive this tower. I thought there were minions in the tower. Someone must have hit my green buff, but, no problem at all. I'm just going to dive this tower. I am fairly tanky. With having green buff and that shield, I'm able to survive quite a bit. Now, I want to get out, but my whole team's here, and it's like, hey, their Aurora came in with no health at all, so let's just stay in and finish this up. And sure enough, we're able to get another pretty decent team fight with taking 3 of them down and a mid inhib. So, that's great. We're having an absolute great match. Even though we lost that Feng, that play was actually what started this entire kind of snowball effect for us. We have been keeping up just a tremendous amount of pressure, and this has kept their team coming in staggered as well. So, we're getting a couple of picks, and, they haven't had people staying alive for, they haven't had their full team up for a while. There's constantly been 1 dead, or there's 1 dying at a time, things like that. And, hey, that's great for us. And we're actually able to take out this Rampage as well. So, I think that their team, they did get a little overworked with the amount of pressure we were keeping up. But, it is what it is. Sometimes you just have to back off and say, okay, guys, let them take this tower. We need to collect ourselves. Everybody group up in mid or something like that. But, hey, that's great for our team. One way to prevent this kind of action from happening, guys, is if you are this team, if you are the enemy team where you are having these situations where, you're dying 1 at a time, just stop engaging in fights. Sure, you need to protect towers, things like that, but try to group up, and that can really help you. Now, I think that would have been a great time to go for Prime, but, we didn't quite have the communication. Like I said, I'm only in comms with Narbash, so it is no problem, but we decide to go ahead and head over to Feng and, secure this Raptor. It's about time we did it. It's 22 minutes in, and we've kind of got everything pushed up to where, hey, why not? After we secure the Raptor, we go ahead and head back to our mid lane. I'm staying in the fog walls because I want to stay invisible, but you see Bellica just erases that Gideon again. And I kind of go show my face to Steel and Wraith, and, I say, hey, their rampage is in the jungle. Let's go in on this. You know, we should be able to take him out, get a couple of stuns on him, be able to slow him, things like that. Sure enough, we're able to delete him. Now, I am kind of scared about Aurora, especially with all of us here in, you know, this small little area. That could be very bad for us. So I say, hey, let's just go push the lane. You know, the minion wave is already up, so it should be fairly easy to get it into this tower. My team decides, you know, hey, we're playing Call of Duty and they're chasing kills, so, you know, hey, it's no problem. Me and Narbash can actually push this lane on ourselves, and by my team staying up and, you know, keeping that pressure on those heroes, we're actually able to push this lane fairly safely. You know, we're not getting anybody to head over and really deal with us. Our ADC actually does go down. That's a bit unfortunate, but, you know, we end up getting a tier 2 for it. And this steel's kind of jumping around the tower, and I say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm gonna head over there. And, you know, unfortunately, Bellica missed that knock-up. We weren't able to secure that kill, but, you know, hey, quite alright. I'm just going to continue going in on these heroes. I am that front line. You know, I am a pretty big tank right now, so I can take quite a bit of punishment, and that's exactly what we do. Now, we end up taking down their third inhib, and it's like, okay, let's go ahead and end, but my team actually backs off, and with me being a tankier hero and Narbash being a support, we can't really successfully end this, you know, especially with their team all showing up. So what we're going to do is actually clear out all the enemy minions. So the core is going to take a significant amount of damage, and this is also going to force the enemy heroes to stay at the core. You know, they can't really chase us. If they chase us, they lose the match. So by doing this, we're free to kind of rotate around and do things. Now, my team decides to go for Feng here, which I think Prime would have been a much better play. Or, you know, not just coming up and ending, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. No problem at all. We can take Feng, you know, just rub it in their face, I guess, a little bit. But we take another uncontested Feng, which is very nice. And from here, you know, we kind of just push, and we're going to slowly end the match. Well, that's going to kind of wrap it up. You know, with the game's not quite over, and the enemy team actually does allow us to win, which I'm very thankful for. I cannot count I can't remember the last time I won a match. You know, or actually, you know, down the core. It seems like most people surrender, or we have a lot of issues where, you know, DCs, things like that, to where you can't really count a DC win as a real win, in my opinion. You know, it's broken, and it shouldn't really count in the spirit of competition, but we do end up actually securing this win, and it felt good. You know, it feels very rewarding actually getting the win. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this Feng video. You know, I have not been playing the jungle as much as I would like, and I definitely need to get back in there and kind of figure out a good rotation so I can, you know, kind of show y'all my take on that. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this Feng Mao Jungle Guide. If y'all did enjoy, show me some love, leave me a comment, think about subscribing, join our Discord if you haven't done it. We do have that tournament coming up, and there's still time to form a team and, you know, participate in it if that's something you want to do. Well, again, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video.